What's the most absurd reason you've heard of someone canceling their marriage?
Bride canceled the wedding a week before because she was a hardcore Disney adult and she was offered a temp job at Disney and felt she couldn't miss the opportunity of her dreams.
My Italian uncle canceled his wedding because the bride's family, not Italian, would not serve lasagna at the wedding reception. He ended up marrying an Irish woman whose family was okay with serving lasagna at the reception.
One of my friends was engaged and is Catholic. Her husband had to convert and he had a dream where he was in a Catholic church but not getting married. He was a priest. So he had a vision of becoming a priest and now the wedding is off.
I was going to be a guest at a wedding and found out it was canceled 2 weeks before the date. The bride found out that the groom had gotten a significant discount on the price of the venue and she was insanely angry that anything at her wedding cost less than premium. Keep in mind, this was her dream venue that she had chosen. She was just mad that her fiancé was cheap or something. I was never super close to either of them, but the last I heard they never ended up getting married. My brother called it off on the morning of the wedding. She was incredibly controlling, faked a pregnancy and didn't want to meet any of his family even though she lived a mile away. Her mother got her to cancel the reception hall a week before because she wanted it at her house. Loads of people dropped out, and my brother felt the pressure. I thanked the universe that he called it off. I doubt I would have seen him again. Wish he didn't do it on the day though. My cousin called it off 3 days in advance because the bride and groom couldn't agree on whether to hyphenate their last names or use his. In retrospect, there was a significant class culture divide of which that was merely one symptom. 'Cause the man was gay and she was just his test to see if he could love a girl. She was heartbroken, but had her suspicions about him. They realized after everything was already planned, invites sent out etc., that they didn't like the date. They moved it to 2025 so there wouldn't be a 4 in their wedding date. The best man said in his speech that he slept with the bride about 2 weeks before the wedding. All hell broke loose. The groom demanded that the marriage be cancelled. It took a few days to get the truth out and for the groom to finally listen. The best man thought it'd be a great prank. The groom was apologetic to the bride, but she didn't forgive him because he believed in others' lies and won't let her talk. One of my Marines has one that takes the cake. His marriage was cancelled because his spouse's parents had a dream that he would become abusive and an addict. She left him because of her parents' dream. He's now a multi-millionaire. That's an abusive addict. My friend's former fiancé was a nice dude. Firefighter. Easy to talk to. Treated her well and got her a nice ring. Every now and then the ring would go missing but he would eventually find it. Safe and sound. She had a good job, too, and was giving him thousands of dollars a month to fix up a house they had bought to live in after they'd gotten married. Turns out, dude was living 2 lives or attempting to at the very least. He's married for 10+ years and had 2 kids. The engagement ring was his wife's and he stole it back every now and then to find it for her. There was never a house. He never bought one, and used all the thousands he had been given solely on cocaine. Needless to say, they canceled the wedding. The groom had a fake SSN because he was dodging child support from a previous marriage. He told bride he had neither an ex-wife or child. The SSN was figured out at the courthouse when they were applying for a marriage license. He'd created fake documents at a Staples that morning. A friend of mine dated a guy for 8 years. They were young. It started in high school. Had the wedding all planned and mostly paid for. A month before the wedding she found him stealing her money and gambling with it. She ended up selling her dress on eBay. Gave the ring back to his best friend, who it turns out paid for it. then eventually married the best friend. They are still happily married 10+ years later with a cute little boy. The dude was living a double life, had a whole another family in different states, said he traveled for work, actually back and forth between family and fiancé. Family member. Very nitpicky. Left her husband after 2 months of marriage for constantly leaving his socks on the floor. To this day talks about what an amazing man and partner he was if only he put his dirty socks in the hamper instead of on the floor. Edit. I wrote this at work so I didn't put any detail in and figured I should add it. Her husband, now ex, did all the cleaning, cooking, and paid all the bills. They didn't have kids either. They're both child-free. He would take his socks off when he got in bed at night, throw them on the floor, and then in the morning he would pick them up and wash them with the other clothes. He wasn't messy or rude, she actually was a bit emotionally abusive to him. She's a narcissist and nasty person in general. We were surprised they even got together because he was so nice and she has always been mean-spirited. He treated her like a princess too. I only add this because I don't want people getting the wrong impression about him, as he didn't deserve an ounce of what he got. One of the most absurd reasons I've heard of someone canceling their marriage was because the groom insisted on wearing a costume from his favorite superhero movie to the wedding. The bride had envisioned a traditional and elegant wedding, but the groom was adamant about walking down the aisle dressed as a fictional character. The disagreement over the costume led to such a heated argument that they eventually called off the wedding entirely. My mom was engaged to be married to her high school sweetheart. Let's call him Bob. Bob went to her doorstep 2 weeks before their wedding and told her he had joined the military and wasn't ready for marriage. He flew to Germany the next day. Fast forward 30 years and 2 divorces later. My mom was single with 5 children from 2 marriages. She runs into her old high school sweetheart Bob. He is also single and recently divorced. They fall in love and have been together ever since. Spoiler alert. Bob is actually his name. One of my former friends called off her wedding because she was convinced the guy was either cheating or would cheat in the future. He wasn't cheating on her and hasn't cheated on the woman he ended up marrying years later. The former friend found a new man, got married, had kids. The man has cheated on her from the very start of their relationship, but she refuses to hear about it. My wife's cousin, fiancé canceled the wedding because they couldn't agree on where to put used towels after showering. She would put a wet towel in the hamper after each shower. He couldn't get past the fact that A, she was putting wet towels in the hamper, and B, that she only used the towel once, though he is crazy. I'm with him on this one. My uncle and ex-aunt called off the wedding because God told them to wait a month before the wedding. They lived across the country, so my parents had to fly with 3 children under 10 years old and the tickets were non-refundable. My uncle called my dad with the new date about 6 months after the original date. NY mom called him later, and when he asked if we would be coming to the wedding, she said that she spoke to God and he told her to bring her kids to Disney instead. My parents still joke about it today, and my uncle divorced that wife a year or 2 later. Happy ending though. He married his best friend about a decade later and they are truly perfect for each other. She really is a wonderful woman and we couldn't be happier for them.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.